Come on, Paige, where are you?
Like a melon. Bloody traitor.
Paige! Oh, about bloody time!
Oh, look at that!
My men are taking care of the East Barracks, but I couldn't leave you out here alone.
That deserves a round of applause.
Up and at 'em, soldier!
That bullet's just for you.
Damn it, soldier! Ignore your injuries!
Elite soldiers, my arse. Have that!
Stay alert. There'll be more coming. We have to find a way past this gate.
Always with the damn gates.
What we need are explosives, but I used mine up on the way here.
If only we knew some sort of tiny, crazy old man who enjoyed blowing things up.
Ha ha! Did you see that boulder that the whole city bowed to up under?
Hang on. How did you get to the other side in the first place?
Dwellers have their ways, my boy. Is there anyone left to kill?
There will be soon. More troops are on the way. Kalian's fleet got a fair few, but not all.
We'll hold them off.
Come on, Boulder, there's more fighting to be done.
Good luck in there. Hope the crown fits.
Let's finish this for good, while I can still stand up on my own. Shall we knock? No. Let's surprise him.
So, this is how it ends. The old fool and the child who ran away. You finally become the man I always wanted you to be.
He's a lot more than that, and now he's ready to take your place.
Perhaps the time has come for someone else to lead Albion.
You were never a leader, just another tyrant.
Did it ever occur to you that I may have had good reason to be?
We're not interested in your reasons.
Cower behind ignorance if you will, but my brother deserves to know the truth.
Save it for the trial, Logan. You can beg for your life then. There he is, the King of Albion. You've made it, just like I always knew you would. It doesn't get any easier, though. You have a country to run now. And with Jasper busy in the sanctuary, you'll need a new personal aide. Someone who can keep you organized. Let me introduce you to...
Hobson. Hobson's the name, Your Majesty. May I say what an extraordinary honor it is to serve you. I have a vast wealth of experience, I assure you, though I have yet to experience vast wealth. That, Your Majesty, is an example of the sense of humor which will no doubt make our time together such a delight.
No doubt. Well, I'll leave you two to get better acquainted. I should begin preparations for the trial.
The trial, of course. The very first item on today's agenda. Among my other qualities, I am well versed in toadying, public relations, and time management. And I heartily believe the key to being a successful king is following a well-scheduled royal agenda. If you will permit me, here are today's appointments. I'm sure you will do a marvelous job presiding over your brother's trial, which, as I said, will be your very first royal duty. Your subjects await in the throne room for what is sure to be an historic occasion, Your Majesty.
All stand to attention for the King of Albion. Logan, former King of Albion, you stand accused today of crimes against the kingdom and its people. Those who brought you to justice will now speak.
There's not a soul alive in the kingdom who hasn't suffered for his glory, and plenty who've died for it. I says, let him have some death of his own.
Look, I'm not one for lopping people's heads off, but we saw Major Swift executed like it was a bloody circus act. He deserves nothing less as far as I'm concerned.
But aren't we better than that? Isn't that why we fought to be here now? I've seen what Logan has done to this city. People starving to death, children forced to work. But killing him now won't solve anything.
It is not my place to decide his fate, but his betrayal condemned many of my people to death. He promised us salvation, and then left us to face the darkness alone.
I had good reason to break that promise, and I had good reason for the crimes you claim I committed. The day I returned to Albion, I received a visit from a blind seer, Teresa, our father's guide. She showed me the future of this kingdom. The darkness in Aurora is coming here, bringing death, destruction, the end of our way of life. The sacrifices I had to make, I did them to protect Albion. If a few had to suffer, it was to build an army. If a few had to die, it was to save a country. I have spent years preparing for this attack. Let me stand by your side now, and all my soldiers will be yours to command. Let us face the coming darkness, together.
If this is true, if it's really coming here, we are all in grave danger.
You have the power over life and death, brother. Now choose.
Your brother's fate is in your hands. The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
I have sat there many times. It is not as easy as it looks, is it?
You can't escape punishment for what you've done, Logan. I sentence you to death.
The king has made his decision. Logan will pay for his crimes against the people of Albion with his life.
Squad forward! Attention! Ready! Take aim! Fire! At ease!
You have fulfilled the first part of your destiny. You were little more than a child when you left the castle. You have become a hero, a leader, and now, finally, a monarch. But your journey is not yet done. Now you are king. You can know the truth. Albion will soon be attacked, and the threat could not be greater. Darkness is coming to our land. It cannot be reasoned with, it cannot be halted. The ruler of Albion is all that stands between the world we inhabit and that darkness. That is why you had to take your brother's place. The course of history demands it. If you do not succeed, everything we know will come to an end.
Why didn't you tell me all this at the start? It was never about Logan, was it?
I told you what you needed to know, and I never spoke anything but the truth. With Logan on the throne, Albion would have been doomed. This much I know. Only with a hero wearing the crown do we stand a chance of survival.
And how do I stop it?
You won't. Its arrival is inevitable. 1 year from now, the darkness will fall upon Albion. All you can do is prepare, and hope to save as many of your people as you can. How you do so is up to you. 2 paths lie ahead. You may keep the promises you have made and be known as a benevolent ruler. But understand that doing so will leave little to spend on the kingdom's protection and may lead you to disaster. It is not easy to be popular and keep the treasury full, unless you are willing to sacrifice your personal wealth. But you may also choose to break those promises, to harm your people in order to save them. You will not lack the means to build the army you need, but you will be hated. This path will cast you in the role of a tyrant, as it did your brother. You have 1 year to do what Logan could not. Be the ruler that readies Albion for the greatest threat it has ever faced, and be the hero that can stand against it.
Your Majesty, I'm not sure what to say after receiving such news. The darkness that is coming. People won't understand what it means. Nobody could, without living through it first. We need to prepare. If we can't stop the attack from happening, we have to be ready when it comes. You will need to raise a fortune to pay for the army we'll need. Hobson will show you the treasury, and I'm sure he can explain just how to fill it.
Indeed I can.
Then I will leave you to it. Ben and I will begin recruiting and training soldiers at once.
If you will follow me, Your Majesty. Oh, how I have looked forward to this moment. This is it, Albion's royal treasury. The store of the kingdom's total wealth. It's, well, not as replete as one would like, but just imagine this room shimmering with hills, valleys, and plateaus of gold, a topography of riches going all the way up to the ceiling. It will require nothing less to build this army everyone is talking about. Which brings us to the second item on today's agenda, and one I'm personally very excited about. Setting the tax rate for the coming year. As you probably know, your brother was taxing the people rather heavily, and some say that this has led to poverty, starvation, and other societal ills. You have 3 clear choices, Your Majesty. 1, lower the tax rate, which one could argue would help the poor and the hungry, but would also leave the treasure. Very well, Your Majesty. Well, how very noble. Yes, I suppose noble is the word. How very noble of you. The people are no doubt dancing in the streets, and we are bankrupt. You will need to be more ruthless if you wish to save the kingdom, Your Majesty. There are other, less salubrious means of filling the treasury, of course. You may donate your own gold, should you have enough. Though I must say, such charity is unheard of. However you decide to proceed, you should acquaint yourself with the Royal Ledger. It is a logbook that allows the reigning monarch to make deposits and withdrawals from the treasury. A most useful financial tool. But my, look at the time! You really ought to attend to the next item on today's agenda. Riva has a most intriguing proposal for you in Bowerstone Industrial. Now, I know you have had your differences, but it is time to put those behind you and work together. Nobody can raise money like Riva can, I assure you. I have seen to it that your appearance among the populace is well publicized, so expect a crowd.
You know what I like most about people? They die.
Don't tempt.
Oh, happy day! His Majesty, the King of Albion, graces us with his radiant presence. I knew last time we met that you would emerge victorious from such public sibling rivalry. And now, here I am, to assist you in filling your coffers till they are fit to burst. What better way to begin your reign than by reinstating one of my most successful policies? There is no greater waste than the idleness of our city's youth, but my employment scheme guarantees children of all ages will have something to occupy them, whilst ensuring our factories are properly manned.
It's just monstrous. Don't listen to him. You promised you would end child labor. Remember that promise now.
And what would you have us do with the snotty little indigents?
The only way Bowerstone is going to climb out of the gutter is through education. Nothing is more important to our future than that. Turn this factory into a school. Give the children of this city the chance they never had.
A school? Oh, that's an original thought. Well, if you'd like to be known as a pauper monarch, then by all means, listen to her. Riva Industries will abide by your decision.
The factory will become a school.
Thank you. We can really start changing people's lives now. This will be an Albion worth fighting for.
I shall begin the necessary modifications at once. Welcome to Riva Industries Learning Center, Bowerstone Industrial's first ever school. You can now feel secure in the knowledge that your children can become the well-educated automatons you always wanted them to be.
Dogs don't have to go to school. I wish I was a dog. The king! The king! Wow!
Big markdown! I sensed your presence before you even arrived. What did you eat?
The town's doing so well, I just had to put the prices up.
Hello there, Your Majesty. I hope you're well.
Oh, Your Majesty. So good to see you.
At your orders.
My lord.
Your Majesty.
My lord. Your Majesty.
It's you!
Oh,
it's
wow.
really, really wow.
At your command.
I trust
How
you
are
well,
you,
sir.
Your Majesty?
Sir. Everything
Well
all right,
met,
Your
my lord.
Majesty?
All stand to attention for the King of Albion.
Greetings, most munificent.
Today, you will decide what is to be done with the Bowerstone Old Quarter, site of the Battle for Albion. Paige will offer her proposal. Reva shall stand against her.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, our victory came at a great cost to the city. You vowed to fight poverty, but our actions have made the problem worse. You must act now. I ask that the old quarter be rebuilt, and its former residents rehomed. You wouldn't just be helping those in great need. You'd be sending a message to your people. They're scared, Your Majesty. Let them know they can count on you.
Your Majesty, the old quarter was indeed devastated by your glorious triumph, but as its name subtly implies, it was old. The cost of rebuilding the area would be a colossal waste of money, and the people who called its decrepit shambles of streets and houses their home are better off without it. Besides, one must question what they have to offer our society. Why build homes for the inept and the unskilled? I recommend you reject Paige's proposal and keep the money for more deserving endeavors.
It was our actions that caused the devastation, Your Majesty. But the final decision rests with you.
We destroyed the old quarter. It's only right we rebuild it.
The king has reached his decision. The old quarter shall be rebuilt, and its former residents will have their homes returned.
Thank you, Your Majesty. This will be a very popular move.
I suppose there may be something to be gained by rebuilding part of the city. It shows our sense of industry has not yet been dampened. Very well, Your Majesty. Despite the current climate of fear and great national need, Reva Industries has once again struck a blow for the honest man on the street. The sad sight of the decayed and war-torn old quarter is no more. We are proud to present the new old quarter.
It breaks one's heart to see the treasury so empty. If we don't do something about it, we will all die. And I have some very definitive retirement plans. As a matter of fact, our very first order of business might have a bearing on our financial situation. The time has come to decide the annual town guard budget. As you can imagine, the people like to complain about crime and the lack of safety on our streets and are calling for more guards than your brother was ever willing to pay for. You have 3 choices, Your Majesty. Leave the budget as it is. After all, the people have grown accustomed to murder, theft, and contraband. Increase the budget and fill the streets with soldiers keeping the peace. A rather costly solution. Or take a more considered approach by lowering the budget. For what is the point of a safe, well-policed kingdom when it is too poor to protect itself from certain annihilation? The people will be delighted, Your Majesty. But will they thank you when they are dead? Not unless they are turned into some sort of awful zombie creatures. That isn't what is going to happen, is it? Anyway, this will leave a sizable gap in the treasury. Unless you can cover the expenses out of your own pocket, I'm afraid we shall be in dire straits indeed. Let us now turn our attention to the rest of today's business. Here is the royal schedule I have prepared. As you can see, you have a busy day in the court, but a tremendously enjoyable one. Decoration is a passion of mine, and I simply cannot wait to see your choice. The interior designers await you in the throne room.
Greetings, Your Majesty. Your Majesty.
My lord.
My lord.
Ah, it's our mighty king.
All stand for the king. Today you decide on the decor of the castle. Two of Albion's greatest interior designers have come to present their suggestions.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I am Herman Worthy, and I have a design in mind that will blow your little royal socks off. Imagine a celestial scheme capable of lifting the shadows that haunt these halls. A fabulous balance of serene hues that announce to the world, I am a strong, virtuous leader. Hear me roar. But also, look how pretty my home is. You are an enlightened king. Let the heart of your castle be enlightened too.
Celestial? Serene? Pretty? Do you wish to be known as a ruler or as a fool? I am Sybil Maleficent, Your Majesty, and I can tell you that people respect what they fear. This castle should be a fortress of dread. I propose that we flood the rooms and corridors with blood, or at least a suitable paint substitute. Let all those who look upon this palace know terror, whether they be your subjects or your enemies.
It may seem trivial, but appearances can affect the opinion of the entire kingdom. The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
I wish this to be an enlightened castle.
Oh, fabulous, Your Majesty, fabulous! Your castle will be a vision of purity.
And what's more, fashion and good taste must choke down their nausea.
At your service.
Today you decide on the future of Aurora, Your Majesty. Kaelin will speak for her people. Riva will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
I am here to seek the protection you promised. It is too long since my people felt safe, or knew of life without suffering. We were honored to join your fight to claim Albion. Now it is time we joined your kingdom. Do what your brother failed to do. Help us to rebuild Aurora and protect it as you would your own land.
There is nothing so noble as embracing other cultures, and I, for one, could not be happier to count Aurora as part of Albion. But surely they must work for that privilege, and I happen to know just how to put them to good service. There is an abandoned mine in the Auroran desert that holds enough materials to benefit the whole kingdom. Let us employ Kaelin and her people to gather what resources there may be. That can be their payment.
You are talking about forced labor.
Well, let's not get bogged down in semantics. It's a fair transaction.
I know you will not break your oath. You understand what we have been through.
The choice is yours, Your Majesty.
I will keep my promise. Aurora will become part of Albion, and its people will be our equals in every way.
The king has spoken. Aurora shall be rebuilt as part of Albion, and equal to every other part of the kingdom.
Thank you, Majesty. You have proven to be a man of honor. Aurora is proud to stand at your side.
Welcome to the new and improved Aurora. An oasis of friendship, camaraderie, and many other lovely things. Visit the city that Reaver Industries rebuilt from sand, stone, and corpses. Enjoy the sunshine, the odd local customs, and the heavy soldier presence. Aurora, a light blooming in the darkness.
A most brave decision in court today, Your Majesty. Aurora might have proven to be a rather profitable resource, but I'm sure we can find other means of filling the treasury. As a matter of fact, we could already have stumbled upon such an opportunity. Aurora may not turn out to be a waste after all. It seems that a group of Albion explorers visiting Aurora have discovered a rare diamond in the desert. They heard the legend of this extraordinary gem from the locals, and understandably set out to find it, without a moment's regard for their own lives. Which may go some way to explaining why only one of the explorers returned in one piece. He came back empty-handed, speaking of the hideous desert beings protecting the treasure. Think of the glory, Your Majesty, the adventure, the romance, the large sums of money we stand to make. The diamond is located in one of the caves beneath the Auroran wasteland, reportedly the site of an ancient, abandoned temple. You need only to take it.
At your command.
Your Majesty, it's the great ruler.
Ah,
Greetings,
hello,
Your Majesty.
mighty
Majesty.
king. Hello.
A reliable way to gather a few followers is by simply interacting with people. Try it. I'm sure you'll make an impression.
Howdy.
Oh! Sir.
Oh!
My king. My king?
I just
My
love
king and
life at
country.
the moment.
Greetings, sir.
Hello, sir.
Good to see you, Your Majesty.
At your command.
Hello, your lordship.
Hello, great lord.
Watch out!
Oh, yeah.
Majesty.
Hot.
Greetings, sir. At your service,
command.
my king.
Oh, your majesty. So good to see you, your grace.
Sir.
Your wonderfulness, your munificence. I hope you've washed your hands. Oh, what a wonderful
Where'd you
adventure
get
this
those
shall be.
shoes? Oh,
I
they're
hope to
not
see you
bad.
later. Your reign seems fair, so...
Oh.
That's nice. Yeah,
Ta-da!
rather fine. Greetings. Right then.
I am so good.
That is rather good, your highness. Well...
How do you do? Lovely jubbly.
Beloved Majesty. I've seen much worse.
Greetings, Your Majesty. Greetings, sir.
It's you! It's really, really, really you!
Greetings, Your Majesty.
The promise. Congratulations, you've made a friend. In addition to being jolly good company, friends can give each other gifts and even discounts at shops that they own.
At your orders, sir.
Greetings, Your Majesty.
My favorite things are music and sunshine and love. And pain. If it were up to me, no one would ever get sick. They'd just die, starting with you! We could be best friends. If I like people with an ass for a face. I've wanted my eyes gouged out. But looks aren't everything.
How are you today, sir?
Attention! Sir? At your orders.
Good to see you, Your Majesty.
Hello, sir. Nothing to report, Your Majesty.
At your service.
It's more beautiful than I dared to imagine. And heavy, too. Our experts estimate it's worth a small fortune. Of course, now the question becomes, what do you wish to do with this fine stone? Shall I deposit the money from the sale into the treasury? Or perhaps you would prefer the funds were channeled into, let us say, a more personal account? A truly selfless act. I am constantly in awe of your generous and noble spirit. Putting the safety of your people before your own reward. Bravo, Your Majesty. Bravo. The treasury is looking rather sickly, wouldn't you agree? We must always be wary of unnecessary expenditures and watch out for possible avenues of profit. With that in mind, I would like to discuss the thorny issue of child benefits, which were abolished under your brother's rule. There are vocal elements within the community who are clamoring for us to bring it back. In the interests of the treasury and of the long-term welfare of the people, I have a counter-proposal. It's somewhat radical, but rather brilliant, if you don't mind me saying. We charge people for every child they have. This would keep the population low, but more importantly, the treasury high. Is it really fair to bring new life into such an uncertain world? And won't that gold go to help the children who have already been born? Of course, you may also choose to keep Logan's policies. The matter is entirely in your hands. Very well, Your Majesty. The breeders amongst the rabble will be ecstatic, I'm sure. Perhaps you are considering making a personal donation to the treasury to make up for the shortfall. It is entirely your decision, as always. Shall we proceed with the rest of your appointments? Here is the royal agenda for the day. As you can see, you have 2 audiences in the throne room to begin. I've heard rumors that Reva's latest proposals are both scandalous and delicious. It should be most entertaining.
Awaiting your command, my lord.
Hey there, Your Majesty. My lord.
His Majesty, the King of Albion.
It's the king.
This hearing concerns the future of the Bowerstone Shelter and Orphanage. Paige will speak for the disenfranchised people of the city. Reva will dispute her cause.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, the shelter has long been the only refuge for the homeless, the poor, and the orphaned. And until we can change the whole world for the better, it will continue to be their only hope of survival. Isn't it time we held out a helping hand to those who need it most? The shelter is underfunded and the building has fallen into disrepair. Invest in the shelter and orphanage, and perhaps we can begin to create a better future for Albion's forgotten people.
I could not agree more. The city and its people are in dire need. But it is not charity they require, it is love. I propose we use this dilapidated building to help both them and ourselves, for love and money have always gone hand in hand. Let us inaugurate Bowerstone's first brothel.
A brothel?
Brothel, bordello, whorehouse. The name is unimportant. What matters is that the people get the love they need, and we get their money.
Yes, it's for your Majesty to decide. Refurnish the shelter and orphanage, or convert it into a house of ill repute.
The poor of this city have suffered enough. We will renovate the shelter and orphanage.
The Bowerstone Shelter shall be refurbished at the Crown's expense.
Thank you, Your Majesty. You've done the right thing.
As you wish, Your Majesty. The parentless tykes and their destitute friends shall have a palace to call their own. Are you a beggar, too lazy to own your own clothes? Or perhaps an orphan, aching for a bowl of gruel? Then come to Riva Industries Shelter and Orphanage, where you'll find food, beds, clothes, and even new parents. No matter who you are, we care, even if you don't deserve it.
Today, you will deal with a pressing environmental issue: the disposal of the city's waste. Riva will offer his proposal. A member of the Morningwood community will stand against him.
You may speak.
Your Majesty, I'm sure you will have noticed a certain aroma permeating the city of late, even more nauseating than usual. I fear it is not merely the stench of the underprivileged. Bowerstone is beginning to have a serious waste disposal issue. We require an inexpensive and efficient solution, and I believe I have hit upon one. Now, currently, part of our waste is being disposed of in the Morningwood Marsh. With very little effort, Riva Industries could redirect all of the Bowerstone sewer system to flow directly into that region. As you know, it's a desolate place with no financial or cultural value to the kingdom. There can be little discussion as to the logic of this decision.
Hang on, this isn't right. Not right at all. We're all children of the soil. It's in our hearts, it's in our blood. It's under our fingernails. What I mean is, we're all equal when it comes to dirt, like. From dirt we come, to dirt we go, yes? We who reside in Morningwood have as good a claim to being clean as anyone. And what of Morningwood itself? Its nature spirits, its woodland elves, and water fairies. Do they not deserve freedom from pollution too? Don't destroy paradise with your urban dregs, man. Channel the waste. Be one with the cycle of life. You have all these, like, factories and stuff, don't you? Turn one into a, what do you call it? One of those things, a sewage reclamation facility, right on.
What shall you decide, Your Majesty?
Morningwood is to be left unspoiled. We will find other ways to deal with Bowerstone's sewage problem.
The king has spoken. Morningwood shall not be used as a waste site. The sanitation committee will look into safer alternatives.
Groovy. You are like a majestuous eagle, Your Majesty. You were in touch with your inner innards. Granny Nature thanks you from, like, the bottom of her heart.
A pity. I must admit I was rather looking forward to breathing fresh air, but I'm sure Your Majesty knows best. There is nothing as important as the health and hygiene of our citizens. As such, Riva Industries is delighted to announce the opening of the Bowerstone Sewage Recycling Facility, because there can be no affluence without effluence.
The day is almost over, Your Majesty. Only one more appointment left. Page has requested a meeting in the old rebel headquarters. How very cloak and dagger. I wonder what she wants.
I'm afraid the sanctuary.
The king!
Hello there, Your Majesty. How are you this fine day, sir?
My lord.
Always a joy to see you, Your Royal Majesty. Hello.
Can I be of...
Hello, your awesome suit.